Okay, so I'm going to show you some stencil work. It's a extension of the block printing series, I suppose, so I could show you. I love to make a quick art. You do it once and you can do it 1,000 times as long as you don't ruin the original. These are in Mylar. You can buy the sheets, trace a drawing, draw a drawing, whatever you want. Combine the stencils, but you buy the Mylar. I just use an X-Acto knife like this, and I do my drawing and mess that up. Straight cut up the image, remove it out, and you can use the cutout or you can use the removal piece itself, and I combine them. You see that Buddha I've made and that art piece I made, and this is a tree I used. This is actually won an award. That tree, I reproduced it 4 times. It was the only way I could get the same tree and change it through the seasons. But it's really fun, and I'll show you how to put one together. It's real easy. After you cut them out, I just tape down my corners. You don't want stuff moving around on you. I put one down to keep the paper from shifting as well. And then what I'm using is it's like a fabric paint, specifically for this application, but you can use it on anything. I just use it because I like to do shirts every once in a while. A sponge to apply it, and then straight up and down movements, trying not to go horizontally in any way, because you shove paint underneath the stencil work, so you want to keep it tight and just pounce. Pounce, 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 pounce. Pounce, pounce. Like a machine. Pounce straight up and down. Fill all the little holes. I'm still learning. It was an experiment. It seems to entertain me. Mix up the colors. Do whatever you want. You can come back in and draw around them if you want when you're done. And remember to pounce, keeping the Mylar taut. And you can combine colors. It's art. There's no requirements to be any way. Do what you want. And then one thing I've learned is, on top of pouncing to keep it from the paint from getting underneath the Mylar, is you want to remove it in one direction and you want to be pretty quick. You don't want to mess around and leave any trails behind, so rip it pretty good. And I'd like to show you one more of a actual shirt and how I set up the shirts. I think I got an idea to show you that you may not think of unless you've done one, which is dividing the shirt, unless you have like an ironing board to stretch it across. Or this is a little homemade gear I did. Just like a little breakfast bed table. Let me set my camera. I put a piece of Mylar and a paper in between the two to separate the fabric from the front from the back. You get some bleed through with this paint. Well, I tend to. Sometimes I tend to go on a little wet, so. And same thing, I'm going to use the same stencil. I've used this stencil 1,000 times with all kinds of different paints. And again, you want to do the pouncing method. And fabric at the microscopic level isn't flat. It all kind of folds around, you know, the little weaving, so it takes up a little bit of paint to fill all that up. And since this is a fabric paint, it stays with it pretty long time. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing one that I had for about 8 months. Still is not for a loss of wear. Remember to pounce, keeping it as taut as you can. I know it's boring, but this is when the art happens, and the boring moments. I should learn to cut this boring shit out. Next video. Oh, said shit, sorry. Yes, oh. Oh, made a mess there. Remember, pull it off fast. Oh, because I make a mess, I'll use a stencil I purchased. You can buy stencils. I use these little extra little things that kind of groovy. This one's got fire. I've used fire before. I like it with the Sacred Hearts. Matter of fact, this one has fire and barbed wire and razor wire, all kinds of stuff. So we'll cover the yellow spot with a bigger controlled yellow spot in the shape of fire, reddish yellow spot in the shape of fire, and voila, it's like Buddha. Ah, fire blob falling on Buddha. Anyway, There we go. You enjoyed. Buddha fire.